everyone, this is Crystal, and I am back with week 20 in my 2020 Project Life album. I have my photos ready to go, and I have the Miss Modern 6x6 paper pad from the stamp market. I think this is mostly what I'll be using. I do have a few other bits and pieces. I have the ephemera pack, and then these were actually from the Citrus Twist Kit add-on from... I don't remember what month, but they were all in the same one. And I just have those here with the pieces that I bought from the Miss Modern collection to use if I'm able to. So that is what I have to work with. I don't really have a plan other than to just play around and see what I can do. Okay, so I'm going to start by looking through the ephemera pack. I've never actually opened it, so this is the first time I'm seeing it, first time I'm seeing what's actually in here. And I didn't really know what to expect. I knew a few of the things that would be in here, but I wasn't really sure what all would be here. So I'm just going to take some time and kind of look through this and see what might work on my spread and get a feel for how I want this whole thing to go. So I really love these tags. I definitely want to use a couple of those on this spread. There were lots of these little flags, and I do end up using quite a few of those on the spread as well. And then there were some smaller labels that had date, and I thought I might use a couple of those. I think I might end up only using one. I'm not sure if I use any of them, but I do end up using a lot of those flags and the labels. So I kind of got a feel for what is there, and now I can look through the 6x6 paper pad and look for papers that I want to use. So I really love this yellow pattern. You can see it's the same as the larger sheet that I have, but I really like this smaller pattern or this smaller print. So I want to pull that out, and then of course this rainbow paper, I know I have to use that. And then I just tried to pick a few other favorites. So I chose that green one because I thought there's a lot of green in my photos and I thought that would work well. I really love this polka dot one, so I thought maybe I would try it. And here's where I kind of start to struggle. So I am going to look through this paper pad several times and try and figure out which ones I really want to use. I had trouble getting a balance of colors. So I like my spreads to feel balanced and to not have kind of outliers when it comes to the colors that are represented. And even though that rainbow paper had all of the colors in it and I felt like it really tied everything else together, I had a hard time getting all of those colors in the rainbow paper represented elsewhere on the page. So I am going to shuffle things around quite a bit and play around and see if I can come up with a way to make it feel like all of those colors are balanced across the page. So I have a few in place right now. A few of these are going to stay where they are, but a lot of them are going to change. I felt like there was way too much of that peachy kind of pinkish color and not enough of this bright pink that I'm about to grab here. So I try switching that out, but I didn't really like the two pinks together on the page. And so I end up basically tearing apart this entire 6x6 pad, and I try out almost every paper in it to find one that works. I end up choosing a couple more neutral sheets in the end just to make it feel a little bit less overwhelming. There's lots of different patterns and lots of different colors in this paper pad, and I felt like it was all just a little bit too much. So I kind of scale back here. These are the ones I really like, the ones I really want to keep, and now I'm going to start building up from there. So I chose that other yellowish paper because that would echo the one that I have in the bottom right corner that I really like. I thought about this lighter pattern paper, this kind of white one with the colorful printing on it, but you wouldn't be able to see any of the full phrases, and I thought it would be more fun to fussy cut those out later on. So I'm going to end up choosing, like I said, some of the more neutral patterns in the paper pad instead. But for right now, I'm just going to go forward with what I have and cut these down so that I can really see them in place, and so they aren't taking up so much space and it isn't such a huge block of color for each of these, so I can really see what it's going to look like before I fill in those last couple spots. Okay, so just trimming all of these down. since I know these are the ones I want to keep. You can see I also pulled out that cut apart sheet over to the right, and it has lots of little kind of journaling spots on it, and I'm going to end up using some of those as well. I just shifted a few things around to make the balance of colors feel a bit better to me, and I also grabbed the little scrap of that rainbow paper, thinking maybe I will try to incorporate that somewhere on the page so that that there's more repetition of that pattern and that all of those colors show up in another spot on the page as well. So I'm just trimming out some of these little journaling spots, and they are pretty small, but it's enough to say what I need to for a few of these photos, and just choosing which ones. They have different phrases on them, and then of course they're all different colors as well, so I'm just choosing which ones I want to use. And this is where I decide, okay, I have enough color on this page. What I really need is something more neutral. And I thought about just grabbing some white cardstock, but why do that when there is this fairly white polka dot pattern? It just has a very small black polka dot on it. I thought that would work perfectly. So then it also ties in that black from the die cut that I have on my title page, which does end up staying there. Okay, so I feel good about this. Now it's just time to kind of make the final decisions and glue everything down. So once again, my 4x6 pockets do not have 4x6 photos in them. They have 3x4 photos. So I just grabbed another index card, and I'm gluing down both the paper and the photo to that so that it will fit in that 4x6 pocket and not wiggle around too much. And then I can start building some embellishment on top of this. So I decided to move the flag over to the photo and then leave the journaling spot on the pattern paper. And I'm just going to add a single label from the die cut pack and use that to create just a two-piece cluster essentially on this pattern paper. And then I'm going to repeat that same kind of recipe on all three spots where I have a 3x4 photo and a 3x4 piece of paper in a 4x6 pocket. So that's going to be kind of my repetitive recipe, make it super easy to finish up the rest of this. I'm going to hand write my journaling on these tiny little journal spots, layer each one up with some sort of label or ticket shape or something behind it, and then glue it down to the center of the pattern paper, and then use the flags on the photos. That's going to be it. And doing that makes it super easy to put the rest of this spread together. I don't have to think about it too much. I don't have to reinvent the wheel each time I am working on another pocket. I just have to repeat what I've already done. For these two 3x4 pockets, I am doing something a little bit different. For this one, I have a tiny photo. It's just a little 2x2 photo, and I am adding it on top of one of those tags, gluing the whole thing down to that 3x4 piece of paper, and then just adding a couple lines of journaling below it. I also added another one of those flags to the top of my photo, and I will do something similar to the other tag in the 3x4 pocket. I just don't have a photo for that one, so I'll end up writing more journaling there. Okay, again, repeating that same pattern that I used for the first 4x6 pocket. I am gluing down a 3x4 piece of paper and my 3x4 photo onto a 4x6 index card. I am stamping the date in the tiny little spot where it says date on this journaling spot. I have a tiny little date stamp that I use for that. It fits perfectly in these tiny little spaces. I'm going to handwrite a few lines of journaling, and then I will add the this day flag to the photo and find a little something to add behind this journaling spot to create a little cluster. So to do that, I decided to grab this. This is one of the 12x12 papers from this collection, and it's just a full sheet of labels. And of course, you can use it as a background. You can cut it up any way you want. I am going to cut one individual little label out of this and use it as a layer behind my journaling spot there. So I just trimmed it out. It's really small. It's not a big label. It's just going to add another touch of color onto this card and have that same look as that original one that I created. Okay, so on to the next one. I am going to work on the next 4x6 pocket this time. I am going to glue down that 3x4 piece of paper, add my photo to the other side, and then instead of using that rainbow stripe paper, the little scrap that I had there, I thought about adding it just across the bottom of this card. Instead, I'm going to use it as the layer behind my journaling tag. So I'm adding the flag to the photo. I will stamp the date on the journaling tag. I will write a couple lines of journaling. It also has a location on each of these little journaling spots. And this was during quarantine, so the locations that I wrote say the bedroom, the backyard, the neighborhood, because that's where we were. We didn't go anywhere else. So just writing down what this photo is about, and then I am going to grab a label punch. This is an EK Success label punch that I've had forever. It's one of my most used punches, and I'm going to punch a label shape out of that rainbow paper and add it behind my journaling spot. So it has the same look as the other kind of tickets and labels that I've used, but it brings in the colors from that title card and helps tie the whole thing together. So for this one, I added another little flag to the top of the photo, and I am channeling old school Kelly Perky here and writing just a little bit of journaling around the edge of my white plate. And that's going to be it for that one. And then this one, I thought about adding, where I would add another photo, I thought about adding another piece of journaling, but I end up going just with another one of these flags, and I really like the way that that ends up looking. And then I will handwrite just a bit more journaling about this week just below that in that blank space and in the few lines there at the bottom. And then I just trim off the bottom of these cards or these tags. They were a little bit long to fit in a 3x4 pocket, and it didn't bother me to just trim off the little bit at the bottom. It doesn't have anything really of importance there. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. All that is left is my title card. So of course, I do have a set of alphas from the stamp market that was included in that Citrus Twist add-on kit, but I don't have any E's in it, and I think I was out of maybe another letter as well. So I end up dipping into my stash, my overflowing stash of alpha stickers to find something that'll work. I really wanted something teal. I felt like it needed another pop of that kind of teal color that's here. So I was grabbing a few options. I really like the one there from Doodlebug, but it was a little bit brighter than the teal that's on this page. So I end up going with an old set of chipboard thickers from, these are Amy Tangerine, and I can't remember which collection, but they're super old. And I had 2 sets of them. I held on to them this long because they're a very basic font. And of course, teal is a color I use all the time, so it felt like they would be very usable. But of course, they are not sticky. They're not sticky at all. So I do end up off camera just adding a little bit of liquid glue behind them, just using a glue pen. And I'm not adding the dates of this week to my title card this time, just because I have the dates stamped on all of those little journaling spots. I didn't feel like I needed to add them here as well. And I really just like the very simple look of the life die cut and the week 20 title. So to finish it off, I am going to add a few staples. I grabbed my gold stapler first, but it was empty and I was way too lazy to fill it. So I'm just going to use my regular Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher, add a few staples around, and then that's it for this page. So there are some close-up photos coming up so you can see all the details and read the journaling if you so choose. If I can find any of the things I've used here available, I will be sure to link them in the description box below. And if you enjoyed this video, if you found it inspiring in any way, I do appreciate a thumbs up. It lets me know that you like what I'm doing and that I should do more of it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that notification bell as well so that you get notified when I upload new videos, which is at least several times a week usually. Okay, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you back here soon.